Hi, welcome, Karibuni, and thank you once again for tuning in to our...
We're live and Martin is muted.
Am I? Oh boy. How does that always happen?
Hi, Martin.
Well, hi. So, Karibuni, I don't know, this always happens. I think when we run the video, it kills our mics automatically. So welcome back for another episode of Gr8leadership Live. We have an interesting... Yeah, we have an interesting show today. And as you have seen in the banners, or if you're tuning in without having seen what the show is about, we're talking about e-learning, the new normal. I think it's a common knowledge now that the world over, let's talk about Kenya mostly, because that's where we are geographically. We ended up having to shut down our schools in March this year, and as a result, our children ended up learning from home. And of course, there were many challenges, new key learnings for parents. We had to adjust our schedules. We had to invest in infrastructure in the house. Many parents who didn't have sections or internet infrastructure, including buying computers. So tonight we are talking with three guests who, in one or the other, are in education. And we'll hear about the effects, the short-term effects, what we expect in the future. And there we are. We'll leave it to Waweru. Waweru, habari yako? Okay. Let me remind you that for those watching us live on YouTube or Facebook, you can ask questions, comments.
Zuri-san, I hope everybody can hear me, because we seem to have lost Martin. And like I said, he's a wizard of Oz. He's the man behind the curtain. So we could have some issues if he's not available in terms of showing us who the guests are and allowing us to actually access the guests. Just want to confirm if anybody can hear me.
Yes.
No?
We can hear you. I'm surprised that I'm lost. Am I there?
Sorry, I think I did have a connection. You can hear me. Irene, Thomas, Jennifer, are you guys okay?
We're okay.
We're okay. We could hear Martin very well.
I can see that. Okay. Okay. Then it seems like it's my end. I'll take it up with my ISP. But you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. Fine, no problem. Should we jump into it, because I seem to have an issue on my end. So I'd like to say, everybody, thank you very much for joining us on Gr8leadership Live. This is episode number 11. We're talking about home learning, or e-learning actually, but there's some aspects of that which will also be about homeschooling, and that's where Thomas is going to come in and jump in. But as is standard operating procedure, we're going to ask our guests to introduce themselves, give us a bit of a background of who they are and what they do. And I'm going to start with the brightest person today, and that's Irene. So Irene, let us know who you are, what you do, and then I'll go to Jennifer and finish with Thomas. So Irene, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Irene Kehwaga. I'm a teacher at Rusinga. I have taught for 18 years in the international sector. I'm a trainer of early childhood and a consultant, and I'm also an entrepreneur.
Welcome. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Njoroge, I think we're going to have challenges. So if Njoroge keeps quiet for more than 2 seconds, I take it that's my cue to carry on with the show. Next, let's move to Thomas, Jennifer. So we can take the genders. Are you back? So Thomas, take it, please.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, or Thomas can go ahead.
It's okay.
So which Thomas, one is it? Jennifer or myself? I go ahead there.
Go ahead, because I was going to end up with Jennifer's intro, and then we ask her the first question.
No problem. So my name is Thomas Mundia. So what I am is, first, of course, more importantly, I'm a parent. I have been home educating, or sometimes also formerly known as homeschooling, since 2004. A proud father of 6 children. I am also a leadership coach and trainer. I have a passion for education, and especially when it comes to parental rights and freedoms in education. So really a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Asante sana. Now, and last but not least, Jennifer, take it.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Gr8leadership. I am a passionate educator. I am a parent, and I am also a teacher by background. I currently work within the Gr8leadership group of schools. I have a wide profession for over 20 years within the international sector, and I am now involved in the tertiary sector of education. So I believe this is going to be a very informative and dynamic session that we are going to hold today. Thank you.
Thank you. Karibuni sana. So now I think Waweru is back. Waweru, do we have you?
I hope so, and I hope I stay.
So you really missed. They said a lot of lovely things. We've learned so much. For those viewing us at home, thank you so much. I think we've all learned.
I hope it is all about me.
We'll share the link with Waweru, who can watch the recording of the show and catch up. Are we there, Waweru?
Okay. Fine. Should we just? Yes, we are. Can you hear me now properly? This is one of those things. One of those days where Murphy's Law just says, "Hey, knock, knock. How are you doing?" Ask it. Come in. Can I serve you some tea? So, okay, fine. Shall we jump into it then?
Yep, please.
Hello?
Yes, Waweru, please.
We can hear you.
Okay, fine. Let's start again with the ladies. I'm going to ask, yeah. Okay, I want to ask Jennifer this question. Basically, goodbye chalkboard, hello chat rooms, actually. Has the coronavirus made online education go viral? See what I did there? Or were we headed there anyway? I think we're having a bit of a chat before, and in terms of how people are now doing their business and everything. But has it accelerated the fact that, we are doing it now online, or was it something that was actually coming in the first place?
I think it's something that was coming in the first place, because as we look at the way the world has been changing and the evolving situation in schools and education, we were going to get eventually into full-time online learning. But what has happened with Corona, it has accelerated this phase in education. And the bigger picture with the education would have been a blended model where they could have been face-to-face as well as online learning. However, with the closure of schools, we've had to shift entirely into online learning, into virtual classrooms, and into situations where now children are working more independently together with the guidance of parents. So it was going to come, it's just come sooner than later, is what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, something you mentioned there with the guidance of parents that I wanted to confirm in terms of a lot of parents now say that they are. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
A lot of parents are saying now that they are, in essence, homeschooling, and I want to jump to Thomas on this fact. Okay, I'm saying a lot of parents are now claiming that they're homeschooling because they're doing online or virtual or classrooms from home. But I want to ask then Thomas from that perspective. Is it business as usual for people who are homeschooling? There's not much in terms of, obviously the social aspect of Corona has affected them, but is it business as usual? As in, I was teaching from home, there's no difference. Coronavirus is just something else I have to deal with. So that's what I want to ask you, Thomas. Is it business as usual? Or is online also affected on homeschooling?
That's a good. I think the thing I notice is that there's not much that has changed for your typical homeschooling. By the way, you'll notice me using the two words, home education, homeschooling. But essentially what it has been is that because many of homeschoolers have already been used to the idea of having online tutors, because the very nature of homeschooling, as much as the parents are the ones who are the owners of educating their children or directing the education of the children, it doesn't mean that the parents are solely the only ones. They're the primary educators, but they do rely on other tutors. So homeschoolers found themselves in a very interesting space, I must tell you, because there's a time where we was a strange being. Even when you mentioned homeschooling in the social media, somebody would wonder, what kind of madness are you guys? What exactly are you doing? But then all of a sudden, by a touch of a button, the world has gone into a pause, and all of a sudden, by default, all parents have had to come into a setting where they're now having to be engaged in the education of the children. But I must tell you, there's a difference. What is happening with a lot of people, what they're doing is pandemic schooling. That's not the same as homeschooling. So pandemic schooling is simply where somebody else is still the school has been brought into your home. The content is already there. There's not really much you're doing. You're playing a supervisory role. Homeschooling is very different. The parent is at the steering wheel of exactly what is taught to a child. And that's a very different game. And so that's the difference. But for us, it's been business as usual, and I assume for many homeschoolers the same.
Yeah. Waweru? No. Okay.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, I'm saying, guys, thanks to Thomas. Mato, just take over in terms of the questions. That, yeah, okay, I can't sort myself out.
All right. Let me ask Irene. What are the advantages and disadvantages of e-learning, and if online education is as easy and convenient as it seems?
Let me first of all start by saying that, first of all, it is not easy. It takes a lot of work for the teacher in the planning, for the lessons to be successful. It is not easy. I'll express myself later, how it has been for me. However, let me come to the disadvantages. I'll start with the disadvantages. The reason why I choose to start with the disadvantages over the advantages is because in Kenya, we have 90,000 schools, meaning we have 18 million basic education learners from poor, vulnerable, and marginalized students and pupils. First of all, trauma. Everyone was thrown into trauma. Parents, teachers, learners, they didn't know what to do. And because learning constitutes of the three parties, parents, learners, and teachers. I'll start with the child because the child is our focus. All of us want the best for the child.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm talking about 90,000 students, I mean to say some of them rely on school feeding programs from faith-based organizations, NGOs, and the government. Meaning, at the moment, we are likely to assume that they have no food. They are starving. Why? The schools are closed. That means even sanitary towels are not being dished out to the students. Anxiety. There's been lots of anxieties. And the learning has not been taking place the way we've always known it to take place. Parents have been thrown into a program that they have no idea about. Remember, CBC had just been rolled, and hardly had they known how to help their children or what it actually entails. Some had already been lost because they didn't know what exactly is in the curriculum. Now, let's move on to lack of electricity, lack of devices, lack of digital platforms. There's no internet. All those are the challenges that the child has gone through. The parent is also confused because they have to work now at home, probably, or have to go to work somewhere else. But now they have to balance between helping their children with their online homeschooling and their work. They also don't know, what exactly am I supposed to do? What am I not supposed to do? Am I helping too much? Am I getting into the space of the child or the teacher? So there's a lot of training that needs to take place there. Then let's come to the teacher. The teacher is now having challenges with reaching the child. The teacher has to stay connected. Lack of electricity and lack of internet is no reason to deny a child to learn. So the teacher must look for ways to make sure that they reach the learner, and also provide a rich experience for the learner to learn. And remember, it is not easy. This is where I was coming. A lot of preparation, a lot of forethought, so that you run through the whole lesson in your mind, look for ways that it will help. And if it will not help, look for how to mitigate or how to counter what the child needs so that they are able to learn. Then there's also physical and mental and emotional exhaustion. Then there are lessons that you cannot teach online. Some of them, like handwriting, has become very difficult, and knitting. Advantages. Now, if I move to the advantages, now I'm talking about I'm talking about the child or the parent who is able to provide the necessary environment for the child to learn online. Now, the advantages are many. Real-time feedback for the teacher, even the parent. They're able to access the activities that the child is able to do and see how they perform. It is easy to track their academic achievement. There's no traveling, meaning instead of waking up very early, some children had to wake up very early to go to school. At 5:30, I would meet buses on the road taking the children to school. Now that time, they can either sleep a little longer or they can use it to complete their tasks. Then with the older children, it is easier to cover the curriculum faster at a shorter period of time. Online learning also helps mirror individual needs and reflect a conducive environment at a personal level. Then again, the environment, we're saving on environment. We're not using paper, so we're saving trees. The running costs have reduced. Now school owners don't have to buy reams and reams of paper for photocopy or, books and books and books. No, everything is online. So we're saving costs there. Then it also opens for practical time for practical skills and interests. So if your child loves a certain skill, let's say probably cookery, now it's time for you to focus on that.
Okay. Great. We'll come back to you. I mean, the discussion is ongoing. We want you to rotate. And I know Walimus can you're used to the classroom. You work with 40 minutes or 50 minutes slots?
50.
So, Waweru, So Jennifer,
Yes.
let's talk about social impacts on learners and teachers alike. Yeah, tell us about social impacts of this whole e-learning, the whole change and where we find ourselves right now.
There has been a great social impact because of the school closures, as we all know. Learners and teachers are at home. Teachers have been preparing and planning and delivering curriculum and the lessons online at specified times. But with closure of schools, it takes an impact as far as the social dynamics are concerned. And out of my observation, things like children lose the connections that they've been having with the face-to-face, the human interactions with each other. Their friends, where are their friends? When will they see their friends next? When will they be able to share their stories, share celebrations together, share their milestones? So for children, for them, the bigger thing is, when will I see my friends again? When am I going to be able to participate in activities with my friends again? With school closures, we don't have any more sporting activities. There is no drama activities. There is no swimming, anything that brings the children together. And those social impacts are the ones that influence the development of a child. The social impact also has an influence on the way this child's behavior is also molded. So it's a big area where you find that the social dynamics have been cut off. And now children, more or less, are now interacting with children within the areas where they live, which is equally good and which is encouraged. And that is why we are moving towards the community-based learning, so that where teachers will be able to have small groups of children, teach them, but also facilitate some socialization and interaction whilst observing the social distancing rules and the cautiousness that we want to be able to prevent also learners getting infected with the virus. For teachers, it's also a huge thing, because teachers are very keen and observant as to how their learners develop, right from early years running through to secondary years. You're able to tell and identify if your students are meeting the required milestones, if your students are meeting the required targets as far as curriculum is concerned. So with that touch, you're able to monitor and give feedback on individual progress, as opposed to an online environment. So with a physical environment, teachers will walk around the classroom, ask children questions, look at the work immediately, give feedback immediately. In a real-time environment, in a virtual environment, that's slightly difficult, and that has shifted a bit. And teachers are learning or relearning how to do this. Also, with a virtual environment, it's very difficult for somebody to identify, or the teacher to identify, if there is a particular challenge or issue with a particular child. So at this stage, we as teachers are relying heavily on parents at home to be the ones to identify if there are any issues, any challenges. And then together with the teacher and the parents, we can see how to address those challenges, cognizant of the fact that not all children are the same. All children develop at different stages and phases. Yeah.
Interesting. And we also know that I don't think parents will be very honest in identifying their children where they fall short. It's a natural thing that the parent says, "Oh, my kid is the best."
My child is number one.
My child is number one, exactly. So I think that's another challenge already. Hoping that relearning of the parents helping you out there. Now, Thomas, we've heard about the social impact, and one of the things, the beauty of going to school is in that interaction with fellow students. When they say the world is a classroom, so you don't only go to class to learn the theory and everything, but the interaction with your fellow classmates, how you learn how to you learn conflict resolution, you learn teamwork and all those things. Now, of course, the question is homeschooling. You have 6 children at home, homeschooling. Let's talk about, is homeschooling recognized formally by the government of Kenya?
That's always an interesting question. There's been quite a long battle regarding homeschooling. I've been part of the advocating for its role, and especially the fact that first we have to be very clear, Martin, homeschooling or home education is not for everyone, but yet we have to note that it is a viable and credible option like any traditional public or private school. Parents have the legitimate right, and by that right to homeschool is not granted by the state. The right to homeschool and the freedom for a parent to choose an education option that is aligned to their convictions, their values, is not something that the state grants it. It's something that the state recognizes and respects. But unfortunately, if you look at the Basic Education Act 2013, you have a very worrying scenario of where first there's an absence of it being mentioned as a type of schooling, which poses a dangerous aspect. And I've been, as I said, my master's thesis was on this, so I'm always very passionate about what I saw and analyzed. And one of the things that was of concern is just the amount of rights that have been put upon the state over and above the parent. And again, sometimes many times even contrary to what the Constitution gives us as powers, as parents. So I think right now the challenge has been that it's very hard sometimes to tell whether it is legal or not legal. And again, this is our fear, because then, as I'm not a legal expert, but then it becomes open to any legal interpretation, which is a danger. We've been advocating to it to be explicitly stated as an option that parents have. So right now it isn't. And I think that is all a concern. So I don't know if Martin have answered your question by stating that.
There are many questions which will come out around the legality of homeschooling. If you remember very well, I think it was during Kibaki's presidency that schooling was made, what's the term? Compulsory. Yes. It was made compulsory, and you can actually be sued for failing to take your child to school. So how does that affect the homeschooling parents? Do you fall in that category where, like now that you've been on this show, tomorrow someone can come knocking on at your door and say, "Hey, boss, you're supposed to take your kids to school"? That's a physical place. Forget COVID. Now with COVID, of course, nobody will do that. But assuming COVID was not around, would anyone come and knock at your door and on your door and say, "You're supposed to take your kids to school"?
Let me tell you, Martin, the safeguard. I think the safeguard for most homeschoolers, at least in the kind of groups I'm with, the curriculums we use are accredited and are internationally recognized curriculum. So one of the safeguards that has been there for homeschoolers is the fact that you already you have your data recorded somewhere. Your children are formally enrolled in a school. And so that is evidence that you can always use. Also, the fact that we already have now associations that do self-regulation for homeschoolers, and this has been the challenge for a long time. And I think right now, as more numbers of homeschoolers are growing, it's been easier to organize ourselves better. But I must tell you, Martin, that threat is still there. And there's a time back, if you had asked me to come to a show like this, I would not have showed up. You don't want to stick your head as a homeschooler, because even up to now, still things are still hazy. And the powers that have been bestowed upon the state in terms of being able to accredit curriculums, approve curriculums, it determines who a teacher is. It is involved in the running of schools. I mean, you can't be a player and be the ref at the same time. That's what the state has done. It has its schools. So that is a dangerous place. But I think right now we are hoping that this might be an opening for us to sit down and revisit this law again, because given this disruption, we might need to reconsider again and look at the parent not as an enemy anymore, but look at them actually as a key stakeholder that needs to be enabled and supported.
Okay, great. I'll come back to you again with another question, a follow-up question to this. But for now, let's move over to Irene. Irene had something to add to Jennifer's discussion, and I think you also have some slides to be presented, right?
Yes, sure. I just wanted to add one thing that Jennifer is very right. It is very difficult for a teacher to follow through and just know exactly what is probably ailing a child or what challenges they had during a lesson. But I would like to say, when there are many online, it is quite a challenge, but it is easier to follow when there are just a few. Yes. My question now is about supporting students. All right, beautiful.
No.
Teachers must support.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was loading up your slides and something happened. It covered my screen. So, how do teachers support students with emotional and behavioral disorders in an online environment?
Remember, teachers cannot work alone. Parents must be present. The role of the parent has always been very key in the success of learning, whether in person, whether homeschooling, whether online. We need the parent. And working closely with the parent has been very helpful. Use of rewards, like online stars, stickers, all right, certificates on enhancing use of the meet spaces. That has been working very well. But now remember, parents don't like to spank their children in this 21st century. They prefer to call them mommy, oh, pole mommy. No, that has to go away. You have to be firm at home for the online learning to work.
Okay, let's move to Jennifer. Let's see.
Yes.
Where are we? Do you want me to bring up your slide now?
Yes, why not? I can share what there is as an overview of where things are and what the future is going to look like. Yeah?
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. So I just have like 5 slides to share for us to just look at what tomorrow will bring and the direction in which education is going to. Just as a beginning, this is the new normal. We have over 1.6 billion children worldwide who are at home. In Kenya, we have 17 million learners in this country. So remember, 17 million children have been disrupted. They are trying to get back into some form of education, some form of normalcy or learning, if we put it that way. But as we're moving forward into the next phase of education, into the new normal, we also need to keep in mind that the children we are now educating are from a different generation who are in a globalized world. Even our own children here in Kenya, they are aware. They are aware of the internet. They are aware there's something called e-learning. They are aware of smartphones. They are aware of laptops. Some may not have access, and majority don't have access. And that's the question of equity in education and distribution of these hardwares to all the schools and to the children. So there's been a huge challenge in Kenya as far as making sure that the IT is equitably distributed. But let's keep in mind, we're educating a new generation globally. So research shows that 85% of the jobs in 2030, they have not been invented. So many jobs are going to go away. So many careers are not going to be relevant. Courses in the universities are changing. So we have to keep that in mind. We are educating for the future now. We're not educating for the present. So let's carry on and just take a look at what the kind of setup is like as far as technology is concerned. Many of us, our children at home, everything is technology. They have the remote control, they know how to navigate it. They have different types of games that they use online. Others may not have access, but if they get access to a telephone, they want to be able to access YouTube. They want to send SMSs. They want to be able to see things. So it's a curious generation. It's a curious group worldwide that now know that technology is a must. So 60%, and our Kenyan children are here as well, they have an awareness or they have knowledge that there is technology. They have knowledge that there's something going on online. And our new CBC curriculum is preparing them to engage more deeply with the online. As we have seen, KICD has prepared a lot of materials for children to be able to go on online school. If they cannot do online school, a lot of these lessons are now broadcasted. Others are even able to see some of these lessons through where available through smartphones, etc. So we can move along and see what else is ahead of us. These are the skills, the life skills for the next workforce. These are the children we are now, the children who maximum age to 18, and we have a group up until age 25. The skills of resilience, adaptability, emotional intelligence, continuous learning, to be entrepreneurs, creativity, and critical thinking. You can see these skills are not the same skills like you and I got when we were in school, of memorizing, regurgitating facts, writing down long, long essays. This is different. It's a different world. Let's realize our children need to be resilient. And this COVID season is teaching them resilience because, hey, they have to change by force. And that is the trauma that Irene was talking about. It came as a shock to not only the parents, but to everybody. So here are the skills. So curriculums, and our CBC curriculum is really structured around this. And these are the skills globally. I mentioned education is now going to be a lifelong learning process. It's no longer just standard 1 to standard 8 and then form 4 and form 5 and 6. It's about skills. Are they literacy? Are they literate? Math, sciences. Or are they competent? Competency-based curriculum. What can they do? What skills do they have? Can they sustain themselves? The life skills is character. We need to mold our children to have good character qualities. And this is maybe an opportunity that COVID has brought. Children are at home, and who are the best molders of character? The parents, enforced by the teachers. So as Irene has said, even for online learning to work, we must all be in partnership and collaborate together. And just finally, just the last slide, just to share with parents, and maybe later on I can just look at it.
I can bring it up. I can bring it up. I thought that was the.
Okay, this is a final one, just to sort of give parents a tip or two when setting up your homeschool setup or your home learning setup or somebody called it the pandemic schooling, whatever we'll call it. There's a way we can do it. Have a structure. Children need structure. Children need a continuity of that structure they've been having in an everyday school, create a space for them to learn. Our young people, particularly, I would say 12 to 16, would say, no, I learn in my room, in my head, whatever. Just create an environment that will help these young learners continue their learning, maintain the school breaks, snack time, lunch time, recess, ensure that the proper nutrition continues if you can, because they may think it's a holiday, but it's not a holiday. We're not on vacation. We're in a crisis. We're trying to manage to get through a crisis up until the time when the pandemic is over. So the rest of the slides are pretty much explanatory, but it's just a way of us as parents sharing and as educators how best we can be able to support the learners and to support parents as well through this process. The key thing that has come across from online learning, and teachers will say this, is students complaining about the tiredness of being on the screen for too long. And even teachers have faced that. So I know schools, academic tutors are looking at how to manage the duration of time a child will spend on a screen to prevent headaches and tiredness, and generally not wanting to pay attention. And then you have a few discipline issues once that starts. So that's it for myself, Martin. Thank you.
Just to add some to that, Jennifer, I saw in one of your slides was the new generation know technology so well to the extent that they can multitask and have various tabs open. So there you see your kids so serious in class. You know, I have a homeschool as well. So I'd go and peep in, looking so serious. And I mean, you don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen unless you.
Yes.
So we also challenged as parents, you don't want to show the child you don't trust them. So you don't want each time to go around the screen and say, show me what you're doing. So it's all based on trust. But at the same time, I mean, we leave it in their hands. They're moving too fast for us.
Yes.
Yeah. But over to Thomas. Of course, homeschooling, you're there physically, either you or the madam or whoever you've assigned, maybe an adult or a tutor. So I would assume you don't have similar problems of e-learning because your homeschooling is physical.
No, not really. You also do have e-learning, Martin.
That's what I want to hear from you. I want to understand.
So it's important that we demystify this, and it's important for all those listening to understand that homeschooling is so diverse as families, and there's no one size fits all, and therefore every family determines what suits their own child and family needs. This is the power that is given to a parent, and it's an enormous power. So one of the things you'll notice, even like us right now, we've been going through an online academy called Khan Academy, and so our children are online. But the difference is that for the homeschooler is that you can manage, you can stagger these times appropriately. We have limited time on screen, so we're not going to have all that. So there's going to be a mixture of everything. And that's one of the beauties, Martin, about home education or homeschooling, is that education in its very essence is not confined to schooling as most people have understood it. So your education is going on throughout. So it's not just limited to being on a screen, doing e-learning. So even when you're helping out in the chores, a baby comes in the family, you're learning the biology of babies coming. Your dad is working, dad is also teaching you how he translates an idea into a business. So for a home educator, it's very hard. It's different than the world of the Irene and Jennifer's world, where you have people confined to what this is time for schooling. For us home educators, every time is a learning time. Education happens constantly, and e-learning is just one of those platforms which we use.
Yeah, I agree with that. Education is for life. You never walk out of a classroom and say that's it.
And the character thing, Martin, that character thing, I love what Jennifer put up there.
Yes.
It's interesting, Jennifer, when you put those slides on the CBC and the competencies, it's funny, those are the things we had been championing for as things that home educators have always been pushing for. because that's the kind of education we give. Is primarily the reason why most people have chosen to home educate, is they feel that that has been lacking in the kind of education that has been there. So I was happy to see that slide, and also to see the competencies for the future, because I look at the curriculum we are covering has all those competencies that you're describing there.
And it's lifelong learning, as we said.
It is, Jennifer. Good slides. I love those ones.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I read out some slides, very interesting. I like jumping from slide to slide, and then we'll come back to Thomas again, because there's whether you like this. I've just kept it as a surprise.
At least I'm back online.
You're back online. Welcome back. As I said, you'll watch half of the show on the stream when on the link after it's gone up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So shall we go over to Irene and put her slides up?
Yep.
Okay. So there we go, Irene, coming up.
I'd like to start by what Jennifer said. In her presentations, she said that for online learning to work, parents need to prepare a structure for their children. Now, for us to make learning fun, e-learning fun, we also must have things like attendance records for the child to be present. The teacher also must be excited. You know, for me, this online learning, to be very honest, it was an exciting period because it was a learning period. I'm really happy to offer online lessons. It's a challenge. However, we have lots of tools at our disposal. Lots and lots of tools. If you go to the next slide, you'll see how I prepared the attendance records. It is possible for us to have attendance records daily. Good. And when you go to the next one, when you move on to the next one, you can track. The teacher can help the parent track the skills the child has already understood, the ones they are working on, and what they need to work to be guided on. That is the ones they are meeting, the ones they are exceeding, and the ones they are working on. Therefore, even as a parent, when you're at home, just using a link, you click and you're able to track. My child does not know how to read this certain word. Let me help him. So they're still working as a team with the parent. Kindly go to the next one. Collaboration. I know collaboration is not easy. Teamwork, group activities. We're social beings. Therefore, we learn better when we learn together. Same to children. They enjoy the company of their peers when they're learning. So group activities can easily be made on Google Forms. And if you go to the next one, that's a slide showing a Jamboard where children were able to work on different slides. Same platform, different slides, together with the next slide. So it is possible for collaboration to happen online, and they really enjoy Jamboards. They really enjoy. It's fun to do this. Then if you go to the next one, we also have whiteboard.fi. Learners can be able to, draw a picture for the teacher, all on the same platform, different pictures, or send a message to the teacher. Then you can go to the next one. Yes, it is possible for teachers to create project activities based on what they're teaching the learners. Like, let's say, for example, if you're learning about planting beans, the child can easily track the progress of how the plant is growing and actually record on the Google Docs with the help probably of a parent. Next, this slide shows the number of applications and platforms that we can use to support and measure achievement. I love quizzes and Kahoots. They are, so far, they've worked very well. Reason being, they give real-time feedback to the children immediately. You've gotten it right, you've gotten it wrong. At the end of the game, there's a podium. And so they are able to know who won, who didn't win. And it is very competitive. I really like that. I wish someone in Kenya can come up with that application where we'll have the Kenyan content and the CBC content, and children can actually play games and then get real-time results on what they have achieved and they have not achieved. This one, I'll just go ahead on myself because this slide was about measuring achievements. It is possible for teachers to prepare. You don't have to rely on platforms and applications. The G Suite has been quite handy in during this period. It is possible for a teacher to measure the achievement of an individual or the class using Google Forms, and these ones actually mark automatically. Just change the settings and you're able to mark for the child automatically, and they get real-time results. When you go to the last slide, you can manage behavior by rewarding. Rewards are so easy, from a smile to a frown. Just a look is enough for you to manage behavior on the online platforms. But you can go ahead and make brag badges. I've made them and they are quite handy, and even give certificates for online etiquette. That way, you will keep the children engaged and they will have fun. Yes, and you'll get real-time results of their performance.
Lovely, Irene. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Wow.
I learned a lot. I didn't think there was that much.
Yeah, just a reminder to
so much you can actually do.
Yeah. I mean, this program, the recording will be online, so you can go back and make note of all those little, the apps, should you want to try them out. So, sorry, carry on, Njoroge.
No, it's fine. It's good. No, it's good to be back. And I'm just joining towards the tail end. I was asking, we had something from Thomas as well in terms of some information that he wanted to share with us on the screen.
Yeah.
So let's do that, and then we'll come back and wrap it up with a few other questions.
I'm just saying time has flown. We've got like 12 minutes to the end of the show, and I'm just warming up now. It's like everything is like, tell us more. Come on. Jeez. Okay. There we go.
If you look at my slide, I think I have covered a couple of the things in my opening remarks.
Yes.
So I'll just skim through just some main points. I think we might not be able to play the video. Martin, I don't think we have time, isn't it?
Let's first tell us about the statistics we have over here.
Okay, this is just generally a global status. I think this is just to give people an idea of just the status of home education. I think I mentioned earlier, of course, it differs. Where you have the red spots is of course where it's totally illegal. It's strange, especially in Scandinavian countries. It's completely, you will not be allowed in Germany and all those countries. Actually, you'll be put in jail. As you can see, Kenya falls under the green place because it's very hard to still tell whether exactly it is legal or illegal. But what is stated there is legal under no conditions or only registration. So far, what has been required here is for homeschoolers to be registered with the government so that whatever they are giving to the child is known, the curriculum is registered with the government. So I thought I just showed that just for people to be aware. But I said we're still lobbying to make sure that we have a bit more clarity on recognition of parents as educators. You can move to the next one. Martin?
Yep.
I think the other one just highlights the many reasons. Home educators, and I always said home education is not for everyone. But those who choose it mostly are very, very strong on certain convictions and values. And just like a parent in a private school or a private school, the difference with the home educators is that they've chosen to deliberately be the steering wheel and the driver of what education is given to their child. And so they even have control just the e-learning exposure and the content that is coming with it. But I thought people I could just have an idea. Generally speaking, you can see largely most of the homeschoolers will choose homeschooling because of their concern about the environment that is there in schools. So even as Jennifer and Irene were presenting their situations in terms of being in the school setting, private and public, I think it's key for the home educators to note, for people to note that difference. That has been the distinguishing fact. I think, Martin, that was mainly it. I think the thing I would say is that, just to clarify a few things, home educators have to make the effort to also keep the children being socialized. I think this would be the biggest accusation. There's this thing called the real world. Although you always wonder who defines what the real world is. I work in a university. I've seen the products also coming from the schools, and you find even people who've come from a school just hang around and hoover together. So you wonder how much socialization has happened if they come into a university where it's an institution of higher learning, and they're still clamoring and hanging together from their tribes and their religions and their races. So you wonder how much of socialization really happened even in the school. So this is a misnomer. But ideally, homeschoolers will take children to, they don't live in a utopian world. They live in an estate, in a community. Homeschoolers will put their children in competitive sports, will put them, by this Serena Williams, they were homeschooled, just for your information. They will imagine, and they will, so the people to say that homeschoolers are pushovers, that's a joke. You should meet my children. They're musicians, most of them, they will challenge you. The difference is, as I was looking at the slides, like for example, Irene was presenting, when I'm teaching my children, I'm not going to give them so much in terms of what those tools are. I'm interested to challenge them. Why is it that we're not developing our own? Why is it that the Chinese are still coming to build roads here and we're still going to India for medicine? I want my children to be critical thinkers, to challenge status quo, not just simply to get information, but to be people that challenge and want to be better. So they're very competitive. So don't let anybody cheat you at your homeschooler is a pushover. That is on the contrary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I wanted to ask, there's two questions I need to ask quickly because we're going to run out of time. Yeah, I have. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah? There's something I wanted to ask. Yeah, something I wanted to ask Jennifer, because there's something that Thomas just said that triggered something I was thinking about. With regards to what he said about homeschooling, and it's not one size fits all, is the same, I'm assuming, the way we've embraced online learning right now as a new normal, is it simply a one size fits all? If we say we've got a computer, I've got StreamYard, I've got Facebook, I've got this, and it's okay because it's all on the same platform, all that works? Or are they have to take into account the fact, like, for example, a 6 to 12-year-old will have a different kind of attention span and will need different kind of disciplines compared to somebody maybe older? And then we can't leave our ayahs or nannies to do the schooling for us, you know? So the parents' responsibility, in as much as it is for homeschool, for example, yeah, it's not one size fits all, or is it?
No, it isn't, because like you said, the ages of the children or the children's age also determines the kind of platform that will be used. The age of child will determine the type of content that will be put there. The age of children will also determine how long will they be online, how long will they be in a virtual environment. And really, like you're saying, it cannot be the caregivers or the nannies who are supervising or implementing this online or this virtual experience that children are going through. So there's a whole engagement around whose responsibility is it? And really, it falls into the parents' responsibility. The schools, educators will prepare the material for specific classes, specific ages, and some ages require different platforms. Not all children, kindergarten children, will not be using probably Zoom. They'll probably be using Class Dongle as an example. Or others, secondary children will be using Google Meet, for example, or Microsoft Teams. So the educators look at what is best suited and for what levels within their institutions. And then thereafter, they leave the parents and the to do the implementation and the supervision and the follow-up and the feedback that's going to come through. One thing that Irene has raised that's there important is the fact that assessments will continue being done throughout the online learning journey. Children will still be assessed to be able to see what progress are they making, not necessarily did they score an A or a B or a C. It is now, can they write, can they read, can they speak? So the levels of assessment are going to be hugely different. And that was also seen this year after the IGCSEs and the international exams were postponed or cancelled due to the pandemic. So how are children assessed? Those learners age 14, 15, they were assessed through coursework and through predicted grades and what they can do. So it's important to keep in mind in future, the way we assess is going to be different all the way to university level. The way we give feedback is going to be different. The way we are going to enter our professions, what grade are you going to get into professions with? That's also something that's food for thought for everybody within the educational world. And somebody had asked, after online university or after online school, how will children get into university? What grades are they going to use? What kind of assessment will be given as evidence that they have attended some level of learning and made the required achievements towards certain standards have been set. So there's a whole discussion around that as to who will verify these qualifications and what universities are these children going to go to. But I can assure parents, your children will go into university. They will be recognized with the online learning, and it's something that that is there for discussion.
Okay, I had a question about that, and I'm sure we could take up a whole hour doing that. But
Yes.
yeah, I'll pick up somewhere else. I needed something. That's something that Thomas said, and I didn't know about actually when he said Serena Williams was homeschooled. I wanted to ask Irene, do you have any examples of local e-learning success stories?
I do. I read in the newspaper about Helen Yokabi, 34 years old. Wow, she's young, I would say, and co-founder of Willow Schools. I don't know the school well, but what caught my eye was the child wasn't fitting very well in the normal school. Therefore, she decided to come up with an app because the child needed extra coaching. And other children, she said the school has more than 600 children now just because of her app. So yes, we need to think harder as Kenyans. CBC probably we need to come up with applications that will fit the curriculum and it will fit the needs of the learners.
I'm looking at the time. I don't know, Martin, whether we go to parting shots or do you have?
Not yet. It's really interesting. I have a question, and my question is, who stands to benefit and who stands to lose? I think we all know the answer, but who benefits and who stands to lose if we all take the e-learning route? If suddenly we see that all the apps are working perfectly, the platforms are being shared, the places that Thomas has, and he can show us how we'll go about the registration process and make sure that all our children do exams when the time comes. So all the aptitude tests and university entry levels, the SATs and all are done in good time and they pass successfully. Who stands to lose? Why this insistence on going to school? I think the examinations, GCSE or something, have been postponed to next year. Why are we insisting that our kids still go to school and we pay school fees? Why are we still insisting? Can they stay at home? And if they miss a few months or a year of school, does that mean it will impact their life forever?
I think we're looking at the education not being just the curriculum. The education is also the social dynamics that brings into a school environment where children, like we've said, are together. Children are learning together in collaboration with each other. Irene picked on that as well, where there is the element of collaboration. So physical schools are important because of that connection that it has with each other, the connection it has as with teachers and children, teachers and teachers together. And really, a school is an organism on its own. There's so much that goes on in there that really helps develop those other competencies that we've talked about with Thomas over there. We talked about the competencies, the character development, the soft skills, all the what you can do, the hard skills. So school is a good place for all that to take place. Yes, you can sit at home and do a homeschool setup. That's fine. But there's this other element that your children will probably be missing out as they are growing up. They have to go through those milestones. They have to go through the challenges of the growth period and the growth that they undertake. So schools are also a bigger setup, like a huge family where everybody is there together. I think the decision as to what kind of curriculum a parent decides where their children wants to go to is really up to an individual's decision as to will they go on an online school or will they go into a physical school or will they do both? There is that possibility where a parent can say, I'll be homeschooling until a certain age. And that has happened. I have come across those kind of cases. So it's really an independent decision. Who are the losers in all of this? There are many gains and there are many losses in both ways. Who stands to gain? Who stands to lose? So there is no perfect response to that or correct response to that. But really, it's really an individual decision, family decision that will be made as to what kind of schooling the individual child will go for. But it's great if we have options, as Thomas has said, is if some things can be legalized with the homeschooling setup, wonderful. People nowadays have the freedom of choice, the freedom to make the decision. And even children will at some point will have the right to make that choice as to what kind of schooling they intend to undertake. So yeah, I think that's how I would respond to that.
Yeah. I have a question for Thomas. Based on the statistics you showed us, the map of countries where homeschooling is illegal and legal and so on and so forth. What, in your opinion, is the reason why Scandinavian countries and most of Europe have made homeschooling absolutely illegal?
Hey,
there must be some science or some thought behind it.
That is a politically toxic question to ask, and it could jeopardize my career. But I can tell you just overall, this cannot be answered in a short question because you have to go back to the philosophy that underpins every country's education pedagogy. So if a country strongly believes that the state is fully equipped, capable of being able to provide that, then it's no surprise that in Germany, for example, it will be the state that then defines what children will learn. And because there's also an agenda, please do not forget, even in education, there are stakeholders, they have vested interest. The state is a vested interest. The people who run schools have a commercial interest also. So there's always an agenda being driven, and education is a very powerful tool. As long as you have the minds and hearts of children, then you have control on whatever you want to do with the masses. So when you have a homeschool who's a disruptor, who does not want to go by what everyone else thinks and wants to challenge the status quo, there's the notion in many of these countries that this is a disruption to the harmony that probably the state wants to maintain. There's also the aspect that sometimes when some of these countries fail, they have already adequate and well-functioning schools. So in that way, and there's a lot of the taxes are used well, so taxes can be shown and manifested in terms of proper functioning schools. So in that case, then they have the notion, then there's no way you can take to any other because this works and there's no other option. So I'm answering it as politically correct as I can, Martin.
Okay, good. No, I think you have explained it, you have summarized it well. Waweru, let me ask the next question to Irene. Yeah, I think we are really having connectivity issues. This question is to either Irene or Jennifer. How, now that we started e-learning, I think it was from April, how are the children with special needs being catered for?
Would you like me to start?
Yes, Irene, go ahead.
Yep.
I must say, honestly, it has been a challenge. The many groups that I'm in where we, I have teacher friends where we consult each other. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Unfortunately, this kind of learning has really broken the system properly. And but it is possible to address some sort of special learning, some sort of learning for certain special needs children. Remember, special needs depends on the severity of the issue. If it is mild, like probably mild autism, it is possible to create breakout rooms for them in the Google Classroom or in the Meet, so that you can have smaller groups where you attend to their individual needs.
Okay. Jennifer, instead of answering that same question, there's a question from one of our viewers. I would like you to take it. I'll put it on screen. Interesting to hear such strong and informed views on this topic. It's worrisome as well when you think of child development cycles, some of which needs physical interaction with mates. What's your take on that? I think we touched on it earlier on, but we can repeat.
I think it's important to remain cognizant of the fact that as children develop, they are not only developing in their cognitive skills, they're also developing on their psychomotor skills. So we all need to keep developing those skills within children, and it is something that goes through their lifelong learning. It goes through their educational years. So the physical school has enabled that to happen. We all remember, or we all recall the number of schools we've gone through, the number of sporting activities. And if not sports, there is still some level of physical interaction that supports the children's developmental needs. So it's important to be cognizant that children do need to continue developing on a physical environment. And that's why also in a homeschool setup like what we're going through during COVID, it's important that as much as children are in the house, yes, we're keeping safe, they still do need to go outside, even for an hour or so, to be able to get that physical engagement, some physical activity, for them to keep on their developmental needs and the developmental growth to keep on ongoing. So we do need physical interactions, yes.
Okay. I have another question from somebody, not online, but through WhatsApp, and it talks about internet safety. Since kids are always online, how do we ensure their safety?
Now, yes, we have safe YouTube. We have safe platforms. So yes, teachers can use, and parents as well, can use the safe platforms for the children. And also, probably they also need to, enable their gadgets with firewalls.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's. We've actually passed. We are 9 minutes over the scheduled hour. I think we can go on talking for another 2 hours. It's a tough topic that has so much to cover. But let's as we head towards closing the show, Your parting shot, everyone, something you want to add, maybe that we haven't covered and you think it's really important?
If I could start, Martin.
Yes.
There's this trendy abbreviation, WFH, that is going around, working from home. And I think it was alluded to when you asked that question, who's going to be mainly affected if e-learning continues. We've got to recognize the parent heavily, because there are many parents today that are going to be juggling many roles. Nannies, homeschooling, they're going to be still running, they are still working. But I think it is a good time now to disruption has a way of bringing us back to reality, and we can't just continue the same way. So I think my appeal is that for the stakeholders to start rethinking again how they view the whole aspect of education, and whether the way we've defined it and the constraints we've limited it are going to be a work against us. And I think it is a chance now to sit back down with all stakeholders and review again all these things, and start looking at each other as stakeholders that you need to facilitate. So I think there are tips we need to give, like parents, to ensure that they can turn their home to be working from home and not working from house or working from hell. It's all determined. You can turn that abbreviation to be anything, but there are certain tips that I think parents can be helped to just be able to enable them to create a conducive environment, because the home has a natural setting of love and affection that makes it very easy for a child to feel accepted and loved. And you can never equate the love of a parent to even any competent teacher out there.
Yeah.
Even if you so that love, that ability to equip our parents now is an opportunity, so that as many parents as possible, we can prepare them to start shifting and having the adaptive skills how to turn their home to become a learning environment.
I think also talking about the parents' involvement at home, I think this is the time where those parents who kept on lying to their children that they were number one, it's coming out, it's showing. And I think that's one of the things parents are not looking forward to. Irene, over to you.
I agree with what Thomas is saying. Actually, if I was to advise parents, I would say you should be happy. Why? Parents now have been given a chance to make lots of decisions regarding education. You see, when you enroll your child in a physical school, they are bound to follow the curriculum, whatever is set. Let's say French as an additional to the core subjects, probably any other. But now the parents now can choose. No, I don't want my child to learn French. I want my child to learn Spanish. During free time, when online learning is over, parents can take this opportunity to teach their children practical skills. I am happy when I visit Indian shops and I see little girls, little boys growing with their parents, around the shop. Daddy is showing how to give change, how to deal with customers. And that's how they take over their businesses from their parents. If you look at businesses around, probably, let's say Africans in general, let me generalize for now. When our parents start businesses, hardly do we fit in. We don't gel in properly. We that is our parents' business. But this is the opportunity. COVID has given parents an opportunity to mentor their little ones from an early age. They can be chefs, electricians, carpenters, farmers at a very early age. They can even instill business skills this early. So my parting shot is parents have now everything in their hands. Now they will be the supervisors and also trainers, while the teachers will be facilitators.
Yep. So now, Jennifer, last. I just
interesting discussions.
Yeah.
Well, I would say let's collaborate. Let's have a collaborative approach with the schools, with the teachers, and with our children as well. So there is and let's have an attitude of we're in this together. We have to drive and be in this car together towards our end destination. because we don't know what the end is going to be at the final call in December next year. We don't know. But for right now, for the sake of the children, for the sake of the learners, however old they are, it's important that we're all pulling on the same way and that we're all having the same sort of goal in the end, which is assuring that our children are still learning, ensuring our children are safe, ensuring our children are developing those life skills that we've talked about. So let's ensure that we have that. We should also be cognizant and that understand that with the education disruption, we do know as parents, many of us have lost our jobs. Many of us are going through job cuts or pay cuts, etc. So we're trying to navigate this new normal. We're trying to navigate how to make it all work. But my parting shot is let's collaborate for the sake of the children. Thank you.
Well said, well said. Irene, somebody, Lucy Nyakwera, is telling you to wash hands. Please make sure you wash hands after the show and disinfect, and always wear a mask.
Thank you. Thank you.
So yeah, lovely discussion. As I said, we can keep going on and on and on. And what we focused on in this show was the effects on the parent and the child and the whole e-learning at home. We haven't yet touched on the financial aspect of this change and how it affects schools and stuff. There's ongoing discussions. Parents, why should we be paying school fees? 30%, 20%, 15 is not enough. And I think we'll leave that to another show where we'll still discuss education from that point of view. I think when it comes to education, there are various aspects that need to be addressed so that we can have a clear understanding of where we stand right now, where we are heading to, and what to expect, not only in 2021, but 2025 onwards. I think that slide Jennifer shared with us was really gave us a clear picture of what lies ahead. I don't know, Jennifer, if we can put it up on our Facebook page for anyone who would like to access that.
That's fine. That's all right. That's okay.
Great. Same for Mundia, the statistics. Yeah. So comments are now coming in. They're all coming in one man. I think let's see what they say very quickly. I think the parting shot is parents usukani kwetu. Great closing remarks, Irene. So I think sadly the show comes to an end. Also, as Oweri puts it, that this is what he says, the one day we decide to do a show about online learning and my online platform decides to be stupid. Well, it happens. We call it Murphy's Law. Thank you so much for accepting to be on the show. I look forward to hosting you again. We look forward to hosting you again in the near future. As the way you said, education is a lifelong, you study for the rest of your life. It's a lifelong learning. And so is discussions around education. It goes on and on and on because there are so many things. I like the fact that Kaveke said that despite his kids having studied at home, you could try and challenge them in any way possible against the guys who've been in school, be it in various talents, music and all that. So there are many pros and cons with homeschooling. I don't know if cons is the right word, Thomas, but it just depends on how you look at it. I think also it also depends on the parents' ability to communicate and share that knowledge. Not all parents are great communicators. They may have barely made it through school, barely, made it to write their papers and theses, but they cannot sit and communicate and share that with their children. They would rather pay somebody else to do that. So maybe the thing is, yes, homeschool if you may, but also consider bringing in someone else. Nobody says if you're homeschooling, you have to be the individual doing it there. I don't know what you'd say, Thomas, to that.
Totally agree, Martin. I think that's what I look. It's not, and also it's not for everyone.
Yes, it's not for everyone. Yes. And of course, there's some parents who want their kids to go to school. Your mwalimu handles that discipline part because they feel, again, as Irene pointed at some point, the parents have become so, oh yeah, baby, mommy, oh. So you can see the kid is going off, but you can't lay a hand on them. You can't shout at them, and you rather the teacher or the school system does it for you. So there are many things to discuss, but let's leave it here for now. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
I think there's nothing for me to add. You guys have said it all. The parting shots are very powerful in their own way. So to the guys being at home, thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, the link will be up. Just go to our website and our YouTube channel. All the past shows are there. And yep, all the best. I hope we'll be interacting. Yeah. So I think from us, it's bye-bye for this week. Next week, tune in for another interesting topic. See ya.
Bye to everyone.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.